So this is the holiday 2020 meeting of the Poetry Society of Virginia Eastern Region sponsored reading. And we have a number of poets who will be reading with us today. And they include, in no particular order, Edward Lull, Robbie Krieger, Catherine Fletcher, Barbara Smith, Marie Boyden, and our president of the PSV, Terry Cox Joseph. So with no further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you. So the way that we'll do this is each poet will read their poems, and I will spotlight them as we go. And as you know, there are a number of holidays, so our poems will celebrate most but not all the holidays. So Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, and this is Kwanzaa, and I was hoping we might get an offering for Kwanzaa, but maybe next year. So Anne-Marie, you're first, and if you will please go ahead and unmute yourself, Anne-Marie, please, and go ahead and read your first. Okay.
Thanksgiving with friends. In November each year, Gogi began making her world-famous potato cookies. It took hours. Those cookies were part of Thanksgiving and Christmas for all of us until last year. Cousin Rosalind made them. Now she's gone too. I miss her. The cookies, not so much. Having neither recipe nor time for the cookies, I make Mother's shrimp aspic and Aunt Helen's twice-baked potatoes, and look forward to silver and crystal and china, lace tablecloths and linen napkins, making them with anticipation of Thanksgiving with friends, and unfamiliar, new to us traditions. Caramelized creamed onions, pumpkin, pecan, not pumpkin pie, and dressing with sausage. Toasting to absent friends with the best wine of the year. Joining hands for the blessing. We are a family of friends, together by chance, carving life and turkey. Next year, I'll make Grandma Boyden's lemon meringue pie.
That's great, thank you. Yes, we're all clapping for you.
Oh, thanks for the picture. 3 Episcopalians, us Mormons, a Catholic nun, and the host family of 8 for Passover. We taste bitter herbs. We drink 4 cups of wine. We read the Haggadah. We listen for words of faith. We hear lessons of tolerance. We sing ancient songs. We wait for Elijah, who doesn't arrive. We want to know why this night is different from all other nights. We feel we belong. We've been adopted.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So actually, I will point out that you can do reactions. So if everyone wants to do reactions for Anne-Marie, either physically or put your hand, oh, I like the heart, Robbie, good job, good job. Okay. Okay, Barbara Smith, please, you're next.
A surprise. Celebrating Hanukkah only, we 3 kids looked with envy at the Christmas trees of our neighbors. In December of 1942, we cut down a tree in our side yard, dragged it to a bedroom on the 3rd floor, decorated it with a paper garland chain and paper handmade ornaments. When our boarder, Private Dick Hayes, came back from work, we accompanied him to his 3rd floor room. He opened his bedroom door, tears of gratitude rolled down his cheeks.
Thank you so much, Barbara. That is a great juxtaposition of the holidays. And the question is, who was most surprised? We know he was surprised, but
He definitely was.
lovely combination. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And here's your next one.
Okay. This is a spiritual revelation. A week before Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and this was in the 1980s, between 9 in the evening and midnight, members from the Orthodox Synagogue, the Conservative and Reform temples, gathered at the Reform Temple for fellowship, a video on klezmer music and Salichot service. All three rabbis participated in leading the service. At 11:40, the blowing of the shofar began. 3 shofar blowers walked to the front. One blower from each synagogue blew his own shofar. 3 shofars resounded at the same instant, a trio of uniformed sound. 20 years ago, this unity would be in Believe It or Not by Ripley. On the second day of Rosh Hashanah in 1996, the shofar sounded as I held my 4-year-old grandson Riley's hand. We and oodles of children huddled close to the Torah and the shofar blower. Riley donned in his first long pants, while white dress shirt, tie, and jacket took notice and paid heed to the ritual. When he wasn't turning around to observe the congregation behind him.
Kids, huh? Little kids. Okay, so Barbara, I have a question, and I'm sure at least a few other people do too. Why would the unity have been in Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Okay, because in those years, the congregations were separate. Today, they have one campus, basically, except for the Reform, who kept their own temple. But the others, moved to where the Jewish Community Center is. But years ago, and the time I was writing about, it was extremely unusual for the congregations to come together and to have the shofar blowing at one time. It was revolutionary at that time in history.
I see.
That's the reason.
Okay, well, thank you. And for anyone who doesn't know it, this is a shofar right there. I didn't know what they looked like. And of course, many of us have heard of klezmers before, but unless you've seen a shofar, you might not know. It's a big horn made out of horn, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Catherine, do you want to read your poems, please?
Thanks, Kathleen. Yes. Happy holidays, everyone. This is a time of year that many of us receive house guests, right? So this is a new poem about a different sort of visitor and the season upon us. Visitors. In this third-floor room, I do not speak. I see no residents across the hall or from the floors below. My door is closed to the plague outside. Out the windows, thick mist shifts through the trees. Wind rattles dry leaves against the tin roof. Then a buckling comes. Ker-chunk, chunk-a-chunk. Scrasp, scrasp. A shadow passes over the skylight window. Unmasked here, I perform seances, resurrect conversations. Sometimes I get visitors, rapping at the glass. Hooked beaks and unfeathered heads appear. I crane my neck. The opaque eyes of a trio of black vultures peer at me. They offer me no treats, take no photos. I retreat across the enclosure, but they reemerge from the mist, find me at the east side windows, exposed. They drum the roof until the sun burns the fog. And then they're gone, except as distant specks above the tree line, dark wings outstretched, soaring in shapes of infinity. Their wings beat in concert with a dirge my ears cannot hear, but whose chords retune my bones.
Thank you. That's a really vivid depiction, Catherine, of the isolation that we all feel. I had some questions about that. Do you want to answer any questions about the meaning of that poem?
I'm not happy to answer questions, sure.
So I was trying to figure out what you were thinking. Was this meant to be someone who's in quarantine just to prevent COVID, or is this someone who's actually in isolation because they have it?
It's just a depiction of the current circumstances where we're all sort of isolated in our own spaces, whether or not we have COVID.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, you want to read your next one?
Yes, thank you. And I'm a contrarian, so rather than a holiday seasonal poem, this is a summer poem. I hope you'll forgive me, but it's new and I wanted to test it out. It's called Munt Beach. I, sea foam, dolphin dive from ochre sands. My God, oh wondrous azure, drift, haven, you, clouds, blossom, wisp. Yes, Munt. Sometimes never, I softly scuff across the tan skin of summer, remembering you loved me then. Hands, you. Wet salt on lips.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Robbie Krieger.
Right. Hey, everybody. I have this pen name, Jack Patch. I recently invented. Long story, but I finally created a blog about this past month or so. It's called The Pages of jackpatch.blogspot.com. It's in the chat if anyone wants to see it. These are two new poems, and they're not holiday oriented. I write about adventure in the outdoors. My apologies. But this first one is about the fact that I love to run, and I've had to take a break from running because I've ran too much. But it's called This Rolling Land I Run. I flew past the many faces in fiery physicality to reflect upon those early races. After the madness of 2 marathons and several smaller ones, I savored every achievement, medal, and award, building up the body to unleash everything stored. Eventually, it all became more meditative as I pounded through Powhatan country in miles of aerobic motion, humbly for my health and not some competitive notion. It always calls out to me, this cardio, having a focus on the fitness that expresses spiritual exercise and lets the world be my witness. To work off any regressive way or dispel demons in the chest, though now my knees really need some serious rest. After years devoted to distance, I notice renewal above the numbers, telling me to try relaxation, restoration, for in a break lies balance. So I sit here and study an eastern hilly sun, even if it's only allegorical, it is this rolling land I run.
Well, thank you so much, Robbie. I used to run, but not seriously, so I can relate to you having to stop, at times when, you get such endorphins from running, but then your body complains.
Yeah, it's been several years, and yeah, the body can't go on forever, so I've had to. It's been about 3 weeks now. I've swallowed my pride, and they do feel better. But I thought I'd write a poem about it. So that was a brand new one. And then this next one is about hiking, so kind of similar, backpacking, running. And it's there was another humbling that went on, but it's called Only an Adventurer. My second one. I am no messiah of nature, nor a saint of outdoor skill, no expert of the elements. I just walk with a will of energy and enterprise, initiating action that has had me cast into the cold, the passionate pool of a body too bold. Then I was sucked into the shadows of being far downhill after dark, couldn't hide from the hurricane, so I lit my way out of the park. Off the ridge, a rainy 3 miles through the night. I have missed the mark. Have you ever felt the fury of flames dying beyond a spark? Sure, I am an Eagle Scout, having hiked 3 long-distance trails, along with countless other evenings in camp, busting into the backcountry even when the grass was too damp to be balled up as tinder. No newspaper, nothing artificial. Light the pine needles or leaves. Let's make this official. With these natural materials, many fires, hot blaze. See, pride isn't the point. So for you and I, there is always more to learn. Yes, even a scout has to take his turn. Giving in to something or someone else as guide. I am only an adventurer, and reality sure has been a ride.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, here, I'll stop the share so we can, thank you. Great job, Robbie. You're going to inspire me to go out in the woods and do a little more hiking again.
That is the goal.
Yeah, that's right. That's the point. Okay, so next one. Okay, so let's put this over here. Ed,
I'm here.
go for it.
The humble queen. Gusting winds sling sand that stings the skin. This afternoon, a kiln of arid air. The man proceeds with measured pace ahead, his youthful wife and burro close behind. She plods on step by painful, grudging step. Her back aches and her body yearns for rest. But she could never yield to weakness now. Her mission clear, she has to carry on. The barren land around belies her state. Maturing in her is the fruit of life. This voyage forced upon them by decree, she prays, protect my child till journey's end. Their bulky beast of burden jarring pace evokes concern about untimely birth. Her pact with God convinces her that she must make this journey walking all the way. When nighttime comes, the winds turn cold as rime. They badly need some shelter for their rest. A light appears. It's Bethlehem, the object of their trek at last in sight. Without accommodations at the inn, their journey ends within a stable stall. Discomfort eases on the bed of straw. Her fear of the unknown denies her sleep. Her visitation months before assured that she'd conceive and bear the Son of God. Her role beyond the birth a mystery. She wonders what the future holds for her. Before the night has ended, pains begin. Unshakable, her faith and trust in God. She lives to see the promised sun emerge to make a temple of this lowly cave. That God selected her to bear his son and raise him in traditions of the day. She then was witness to his painful death, consoling him until his final breath. A score of centuries pass, we still revere her courage and commitment to a dream. At Christmas time, we celebrate his birth and honor Mary, Mother for all time.
Thank you so much, Ed. That's a very moving poem. Of course, I got these before people heard you read it, and I had to read it a few times. It very, very, very detailed, and we really sense the voyage with you.
Oh, good, good. And should I do the other one?
Yes, and it's up on screen right now.
Okay. As you can see, I did buy into the Christmas theme. When Christ was born, as dawn crept in like other days, no blast from fanfare horn. On verdant hills the sheep could graze that day when Christ was born. When shepherds heard the angels sing, it was a blessed morn. They wondered what their God would bring that day when Christ was born. The Magi from the east observed a star that would forewarn that something great had just occurred that day when Christ was born. Just Mary knew that she had done the duty she had sworn to bring into the world God's Son that day when Christ was born. Who knew that one day he would face the pain of public scorn? But now his mother smiled with grace that day when Christ was born. Millennia have passed, and yet our homes we still adorn to celebrate and not forget that day when Christ was born. As choirs sing and church bells ring, we welcome our new King. Let all of heaven's angels sing to welcome Christ the King.
Thanks. If you want to make comments for a second.
Me or others?
Everybody, you can unmute yourselves and make comments.
Pretty deep.
Yeah, I had written a poem about religion, but after reading his, I decided that I would do something different with mine.
Well, I think they're both very moving, Ed.
They are.
Oh, thank you, Anne Marie.
They really are.
Makes me want to go put up the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I know.
Terry Cox Joseph is unable to join us. Okay, so Terry Cox Joseph is president of the Poetry Society of Virginia currently, and she's a wonderful president. I can tell you as a vice president for the Eastern region, and so can Catherine, and so can Ed, who has held many titles in the past, that Terry is working overtime on many, many cylinders to make things go this year, in spite of a number of different kinds of challenges. So she, for some reason, is not able to be with us, but she sent me her poems, so I'm going to be presumptuous. And in the absence of a president, the vice president is going to read the president's poems. So I hope that I get the meaning or the sense of her poems. So Terry Cox Joseph's first poem is Perspective. The best is here to stay, or at least until next Tuesday, when I can sleep past 8 because the kids have a half day, or when thunderheads disperse over the Atlantic and delicious expense of cerulean welcomes me with droplet-generated aromatic aerosols, new palette, or perhaps when the dogs have been bathed, curls of fur soft against my cheek. The best is here today because my children are safe and warm and fed, beef stew and cornbread from their own loaf pans, The best is mine to say, part dream, part work, push of tomorrow into moonlight when I can read past midnight, because it's my choice to stay. And books are friends here, dreamed and curled and cooked and fed and nurtured best. Thank you, Terry. And we applaud you. and we'll look forward to hearing your response. So this is Terry Cox Joseph's second offering, and this is a Thanksgiving poem, Minnesota Thanksgiving. It was the autumn of early snow, falling flakes on barely bare branches, steps iced with risk, strewn salt for dozens of footfalls to come, black rubber boots pulled over men's wingtips, our noses pressed to storm door, imprint of longing. Soon enough, the headlights, the doorbell, aunt and uncle and boy cousin crowded the hallway, how they brought loud and cold secrets and shouts, ice cubes clattered into gold-rimmed martini glasses, abetted laughter, and elbows, jeers, and arguments. All the better to dig deep into family. Hot mitt hands grasp casseroles and bread rolls, breath of yeast and butter. Just tall enough to reach, I folded fabric napkins, triangles, just so, as cousins raced the stairs. I set that real silver. Small fork outside, large fork inside, knife and spoon to the right. Oh, the sense. Grammy's Jean Natte, mashed russet potatoes with browned onions, hot roast, glazed ham, edges slightly burned, roasted turkey, rosemary, and sage, stuffing with raisins and celery. It was the autumn. I knew we had more than families on the east side, working furnace, football stadium roars from two-color TVs, Miracle Whip that bound us as forever family, worn out puns, and cracks like the crust of Aunt Mary's rhubarb apple pie.
Oh, that makes me hungry.
So I'm going to stop sharing, and if you all want to comment on Terry's poems, yes.
I love
Yeah.
strawberry rhubarb pie. That's
I
like
know, and I haven't had it in a long time.
It's a great,
I wonder if we have to go to Minnesota just to get that. That was really good.
Well, I know we had it as far east as Michigan. Okay.
There you are.
Yep, this first one is, again, this is the first one is my Thanksgiving poem. And I, like I said, I had some serious poems in mind, and then I, for some reason, got tired of seriousness. So this one is entitled Thanksgiving. 4 generations round the table, grandchildren fidgeting and fussing, giggling and clowning, parents, grandparents, and great-grands, smiling, proud and thankful for the newest generation, and exhausted by their energy, truth be told. The only thing different about this Thanksgiving is that no one asks, please pass the turkey. Zoom Thanksgiving.
yeah, true.
Okay. And this last one is meant to be sung, but I think I would be humiliated to hear this on YouTube, so I'm going to simply say it. It's entitled The 12 Days of Christmas by the Sea, and the history of this poem is that this was submitted to be part of an exhibit of quilts and poems in Florida called Fresh Fish. And so you were challenged to write poems that involved fish. So that inspired me to come up with this. On the 12 days of Christmas, I saw by the sea a seagull in a palm tree. And it would be too long to do the entire poem, so I will simply do this fast. 2 turtles nesting, 3 fish schooling, 4 cormorants calling, 5 gold warblers, 6 geese a flying, 7 swans skimming, 8 mahi-mahi swimming, 9 ladyfish leaping, 10 lost lordfish lurking, 11 sandpipers pepping, 12 red drum drumming, and a seagull in a palm tree.
you.
Kathleen. I love that.
Yeah,
Great verbs in there, Kathleen.
yeah. If you reread it later on, what you'll discover is that I took the actual 12 days of Christmas, and we've got the ladies and the lords and the drummers. They're all fish, and the lord fish are lost because the fresh fish exhibit is in Florida. It's taking place in Florida, and lord fish are West Coast Pacific fish. They're not found in Florida, so they're lost lord fish. So everybody can unmute yourselves if you want to make some further comments about poetry and the holidays or poetry and holidays 2020, please feel free.
Well, I like your poem better than the original 12 Days of Christmas because I've sung that one with the chorus and I feel like it never ends. But I really like that. It's clever.
Oh, thank you.
If
Well,
you
Amber's
said-
the one with a great sense of humor. We got some of your more serious poems today. Lovely.
Oh, those were very funny. I really enjoyed the 12 Fish of Christmas.
Reminds me of the rockfish gap at the end, at the bottom of Shenandoah National Park. I think the rockfish is I'm guessing a fish in the mountains, but I don't
No,
know.
actually rockfish are bottom dwellers, and you can find them in the sea as well as brackish water.
Yes.
If you fish for them, Ed,
No.
you sound like you know them.
Yeah, I know of them, and the contests they have every year, rockfish catching and that sort of thing. But instantly, I wouldn't have known if you put the Lord fish in the Gulf of Mexico. I wouldn't have minded.
I caught the rainbow trout.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Anne-Marie.
I thought it was really fun.
Good.
I liked it.
Well, good. Okay.
I love parodies.
I think it's great, Kathleen, that you're doing these.
Yes. Well, we'll do it again. And for those of you watchers watching this later on YouTube, members of the Poetry Society of Virginia are welcome to follow the newsletter for future poetry readings until and possibly after quarantine for COVID-19 is over. We have a lot of fun doing these readings. We don't have to wear masks. We get to unite people all the way from Northern Virginia to the southeastern corner of Virginia. And so we're very happy you're with us. And with that, I'm going to share the final screen here, the final slide. This has been a presentation of the Poetry Society of Virginia, courtesy of the Eastern Region. And I, Kathleen P. Decker, am Vice President of the Eastern Region, and we thank you for tuning in.